want to know which planet was causing your suffering? How about Earth?
Hey everyone, Brandflex here, back with a new Shadowverse 2 video. This is going to be the video about the new portal cards for Set 3, Heirs to the Omens. This will be the last craft I'm covering, chronologically, in my time, so if I sound really tired, it's because I've just gone through all the crafts in one day, just to split them up, because I was not going to go through like a full 2-hour video on my scratchy voice. So, yeah. The other crafts will all be somewhere below in playlist or something, so if you want to look at that, go there, and then if there are relevant neutral cards for these cards that I want to combo with, I'll go over them in the videos, so you don't need to watch that video if you don't want to. So, last but not least, Portal, which has a very interesting gimmick going on. We'll go over that as we get there. So the first card we'll go over is going to be the 2-mana 2/2, which is the Supplicant of Destruction. I guess actually with this card, or with this card, I should go with the more important card. So let's start off with Lishenna, just because Lishenna has the eggs, and we can see both eggs there. So starting off with the 4-drop, Lishenna Legendary. She's a 2/4. Her fanfare is that she adds a Melodious Monody to her hand. Melodious Monody is a 1-mana spell. You destroy an allied card on the field, and you deal 4 damage to a random enemy follower, which might seem like a bad effect until you see her evolve function, which is going to be summon a White Psalm New Revelation. White Psalm New Revelation is going to be an amulet that is essentially permanently on your board unless it gets Odin'd. So it's a countdown of 1, so every turn it will break. Or at the end of the turn it will break. And the last word is that it will restore 1 health to your leader, but also summon Black Psalm New Revelation. So Black Psalm New Revelation is the exact opposite. It's going to be also a countdown 1, but instead of healing your leader for 1, it deals 1 damage to the enemy leader. And then when it breaks, it'll summon White Psalm New Revelation. So this is essentially an egg that constantly loops over and over and over again. So when you see cards like Melodious Monody, when you're trying to break allied cards, to like when you select the allied card to destroy and you do something, keep in mind that the target is always going to be these eggs for this craft. And these eggs you can summon up to 5, obviously, because you have 5 board space, but you cannot destroy them. Like even you can't remove them unless someone banish them, which you can't for now. So the only way to lose the egg is for someone to Odin them, which means that your board will almost permanently be very cluttered as a egg portal player. So with that in mind, let's get straight into the first card, or the second card rather, the 2-mana 2/2 Supplicant of Destruction. Fanfare is going to be select another allied card on the field if you chose one, so this can be played without selecting a card. You're going to destroy it and deal 2 to a random enemy follower. And when you evolve it, you replicate the Fanfare ability, which is again, selecting another allied card, and if you chose one, destroy it until deal 2. So I think this term, if you selected one, is really important, because if your card lacks this explicit phrase, you cannot play the card without selecting a card. So just keep that in mind as we go forward. So this card, an egg, is going to be a 4.5 out of 5 in my opinion, and constructed, and then in take 2, if you have multiple eggs, it'll shed a 4.5, but if you have no eggs, it'll be like a 2 out of 5, because it actively griefs you if you have like a crappier minion to destroy. Because like it's okay, because let's say you destroy a puppet, or you destroy a 1-attack minion, you're technically rushing that minion into a random enemy follower, which is alright, but obviously the upside is meant to be played with eggs or undestroyable minions, so that you don't lose tempo for playing it. So the next card is going to be Devastating Soprano. What is this other thing? Oh, it's alt art. Anyways, this card is going to be a 2-mana spell. Select an allied card on the field and destroy it, and summon White Psalm New Revelation, which is again the eggs that cycle constantly. So this card is going to be a 5 out of 5 for constructed, or I guess it depends on whether or not you think that egg portal is going to be relevant. I'm going to assume that it's going to be like the hidden tier 1 deck, maybe not necessarily tier 0, but a hidden tier 1 deck for the set. So I'm going to be acting as if the archetype is really good. So that's why I'm going to say 5 out of 5. If the archetype is bad, it's going to be the same thing as like Ward or Cresthaven, where it's like more like a 4.0, because I think the power level is super bad. But because I think this power level is good, it'll be 5 out of 5. So this will summon you a egg. And the reason why I think this is better, or okay, this is going to be 5 out of 5 in constructed, and like 4 out of 5 in take 2. Because the thing is that with this egg value, like you can break a 1/1 with this, you can break a puppet with this, you can break a artifact or whatever with this. Like it's better than the 2-mana 2-drop because it gives you something to break for the future. Whereas the 2-drop, when you play it, like again, you can play as a vanilla 2-drop, but it's like nothing else to do. But when you play this card, you're actively expecting to break something with it, and then you get a permanent break value, or like a permanent destroy value target over and over and over again, which would be really efficient in the long run. The next 2-drop is going to be a 2-drop Amulet. When you play it, you can choose another card on the field, if you chose one again. So again, you can just play this and only get the last word value, which is like okay. But if you destroy something, aka an egg cycle, you draw 2 cards immediately. But then it's important to note that the only way you destroy this card is by breaking it with an egg destruction, or with a destruction effect. So you have to use the destruction effect to break it, or you just never get value from it. Like, it'll just be an amulet that's there permanently if you don't destroy it. Which again, with Destruction Portal, is not a tall task. So within Destruction Portal itself, I'm gonna say a 5 out of 5 because it's so much card draw. But in Take 2, if you don't have the support, it's more like I would say it's like a 2 out of 5 because it actively hurts your Orcus and Ralmia synergies if you're forced to go into those deck types. So you need the synergy. If you have the synergy, it's super efficient, but without it, it's like kind of bad. The next card is going to be Axia, the first legendary card, Axia of Destruction, 3 mana 2/4, with the ward, can't be destroyed by abilities, and when you super evolve her, she deals X damage to the enemy leader. X is equal to the number of other allied cards, so you can only deal up to 4 damage if you have a full board, and then you destroy all other allied cards on the field. So this card, I must say, is like a 3.5 out of 5 because the super evolve is just face pinging, and I guess if you're dealing like I think the upper limit of eggs is gonna be 3. So this is like a super evo deal 3 and also cycle your eggs out. So you could deal 7 damage with this card pretty easily. Because you're gonna deal 3 with the eggs. Eggs will cycle and hit for 3 if it's all Black Solve. So it's 7 damage potentially for super evo with the super evo ping, which is alright. You know, that's very okay. But keep in mind that like this card generically is just a 2/4 ward that can't be killed by abilities, but like there's so few Bane and Execute things that exist in the game. So I think it's not stronger than a lot of other 3 costs or other cards in Portal, but I think it's like if you find a way to make like face ping / aggro eggs an actual thing in the meta, Axia will be more like a 4.0 out of 5. But for me personally, like Take 2, 1 out of 5. You'd rather have any other legendary in Portal. And then in Take 2 or in generic constructed, until it's proven that aggro egg is actually good, Axia will be like a 2 out of 5 for me because you could use her as like a egg cycle, but like as a rogue aggro deck. But unless it's proven that Axia is the reason why that aggro egg is really broken, she's not playable in my opinion. Next card is going to be a 4 mana 4/4 Devotee of Destruction. When you play it, give this follower stats according to the number of other allied cards on the field, and you destroy all other allied cards on the field. So the issue with this card is that it's a turn 4 card. Turn 4 means that you have most, if you're super lucky, super lucky, like you played a 1-drop and you got to destroy the 1-drop with the 2 mana spell that makes an egg, and you got to play another 2 mana spell that makes an egg, and then maybe another 1-drop. The highest level of RNG you can get with this card is making a 4 mana 7/7. But there's no other effects. 4 mana 7/7 that cycles the eggs, which is okay. But the issue is that there's no actual board effect, so you have to evo it, and you'd rather evo Lishenna, you'd rather evo so many other cards in Portal that this card is kind of just like, it might be okay in Take 2 if you have eggs. So with egg support, this card is probably like a 3.5 out of 5. But without support, you're actively destroying your own board to do what? To make a enemy minion that's like easily destroyed by like any targeted effect that most crafts have, or like a Bane or like Execute. Like this does not have the anti-destruction, so this can be killed by anything between like a blasting bullet, like Bane. Like this dies us so much, and you're killing your own board, so you have to have eggs to play it. But if you play this later in the game, it's just a 4 mana big minion, which is super easily dealt with the higher your enemies have mana counts. So it's just like, I think it's a 2 out of 5 in constructed, maybe even a 1 out of 5 in constructed, and I think in Take 2 maybe it's like a 2.5 out of 5 because it kind of works, but you need eggs, and having eggs in Take 2 is not really guaranteed because now Portal has 3 whole archetypes that you need to compete with, like egg, puppet, artifact, which they do synergize somewhat, but you have to get the eggs to play Devotee, which is hard. The next card, obviously Lishenna. We've already covered Lishenna earlier, but just to look at her again, she is 5 out of 5, obviously, for egg. And I think even in Take 2, she's not 5 out of 5 because she doesn't, there's no downside, and she summons egg, and she gives you a good clear. So I think she's probably the strongest card that Portal got this set. Wired Assault is going to be a 4-mana spell. Select an enemy follower on the field and destroy it, and add 2 puppets to your hand, which are the 0-mana 1/1 rushes. I think this card in Puppet is going to be a 4 out of 5, just because it is pretty good. I think you do play in a Puppet, control execute, more Puppet copies that will synergize with Noah, that will synergize with Orcus, that will synergize with, like, Mukon, not Mukon, but whatever the Puppet version of the Bane thing is. There's a lot of things that make, like, this will not make Puppet like an even better, or it does make Puppet a better deck, but it doesn't make Puppet like a super insane deck, which is why it's only a 4 out of 5. Like, you will play it, but if there are better Puppet cards in the future, you'll probably place this going forward, probably at least. Next card is a 5-mana 4/4 Field Scientist. Select a card, or 3/4 rather. Select a card in your hand, discard it, draw 3 cards. This is probably gonna be like a Puppet support card, or even it even is potentially an egg card, because you might be able to discard your extra Lishennas, because you probably only want to evolve 1 or 2 Lishennas. So if you draw the 3rd one, you can cycle out the Lishenna for 3 extra cards. Now in Take 2, I think this card is I want to say in Take 2 this card is a 4.5 out of 5, because it is a decent body with a really powerful draw effect. But I think in generic constructed, I think it's probably like a 3.5 out of 5, because you need to find a really good reason to play this, because again, there's no board effect, you're just drawing a lot, and you can evo this card. And if you're playing Puppets, maybe you can probably play this Puppets actually to get your Orcus faster. So maybe in Puppets it's a 4 out of 5, but I sure will see if it's strong to be played in Artifact or in I guess, yeah. So my hierarchy for ranks is that at 4.0, that's what you can play in a current meta deck. So I guess if I'm saying that Wired Assault is playable, if I'm saying Wired Assault is 4.0 because it's played in Puppet Portal, then I guess Field Science is also 4.0 because it's playable in Puppet Portal, because you can discard one of your excess puppets to draw into your Orcus in the future. So in that scenario, Field Science is really good, because especially since you're playing puppets, you can get away with certain Evo turns because you have enough puppets in your hand to clear enemy boards without needing to actually burn something. Or you can Evo this card and have a weaker Evo turn because you have puppets to make up for the difference. So this card is playable in Puppet. It lets you draw more power, draw to Noah, draw to Orcus, draw to like Liam if you somehow still playing Liam. And it gives you the fuel that you'd otherwise be running out on as Puppet Artifact, or not bad, Puppet Portal. And then again, in Take 2, it's really efficient because you discard a really bad card that you're forced to draft and get hopefully good cards. So really good Take 2 card in my opinion. The next card is going to be the 6-mana 3/3 Congregant of Destruction. Fanfare, destroy X random followers, and X is the number of other allied cards on the field, and you destroy all other allied cards on your field. So I think this card is a 4.5. Actually, no, I think it's a 5 out of 5 in constructed, because I think it's very explicitly played with Egg Portal. And then Egg Portal, assuming you have 2 eggs on field, which is probably very likely, you're destroying 2 random enemy followers, and at turn 6, if you're going first into turn 6, that's pretty good. If you're going second into turn 6, that's also pretty good. Like, most cards on that specific turn do not exceed 3. Like, most cards that are played on turn 5 or 6 will only be 1 or 2 big fat minions, unless it's Sword, in which case, like, you get to Evo anyways, for the most part with Portal, or it's like, no, just Sword. Like, Sword, maybe Abyss, I think. Like, there's only so many crafts that can go past 2 cards played. And then that's not even beside the fact that you can have 3 eggs if you're high rolling with Egg Portal, which means that you can destroy it even up to Sword for the most part, and Evo for the last one. So I think this card is super strong because it's that mythical advance your own game plan and also harm your opponent's game plan, because it makes you cycle your eggs. So if you have 3, that's a lot of efficiency, and also clears your enemy board. And it doesn't need an Evo. You can play an Evo if you really have to, but you might not need to Evo. And that upside of not needing Evo when you're playing eggs is super crazy, because your eggs can lead into like charge minions to deal face, to deal with the excess like extra damage. You can be like, my cook is that you might be playing eggs with Artifact, so you might be able to save your Evos for stuff like another outlet. You might be able to save it for a Karula. You can save it for your Omega turn where you deal 13 to the face. Like, Congregate having an upside of not needing an Evo, again, you might need an Evo anyways, but the fact you might not need to is really good for your closer game plans. And also, it just stabilizes your board, it lets you heal, lets you deal damage, it does everything you need for Egg. So I think it's a 5 out of 5 in Constructed. Unfortunately, on the flip side of Take-Two, again, you need all that Egg support. So if you somehow trapped an Egg deck in Take-Two, 5 out of 5 easily. But without that, it's more like a 2 out of 5 because, again, you're clearing your entire board to clear your enemy's board. And what's to say that your board doesn't have a better minion than 3-3? Like, you don't want to replace your 4-4 for a 3-3 and more 1-1s. Like, it's just antithetical to what you're trying to do in Take-Two. So that in Take-Two, really good in Constructed, assuming that Egg is strong. And the last card we're going over is going to be the 7-mana 3-3 Supersonic Fighter. When you summon it, Fanfare summons Gamma, which is the feat. Deal 3 to all enemy followers at the end of your turn. And then your Evolve is going to be selecting an artifact follower and giving it 3-3. So essentially, let's just assume we're going to Super Evo this. It's going to be a 6-6 and then a 8-6 on board, except your Gamma won't have Rush or anything else, and you'll have a 6-6. So this card is, I think in Take-Two, this card is like a 4.5 out of 5 because it's really good in Take-Two. Because again, like if you're evoing, like it doesn't matter as much in Take-Two. Like you Super Evo this card, you clear 1 minion, so it's like a discount Realmia that did not cost you a legendary card, and you still get a artifact Gamma, or you still get a foot artifact, which is really efficient, and it's also a buffed foot artifact, so it's actually like even hard to clear. So you summon a 14-12 on turn 7, which is good in Take-Two, but unfortunately in Constructed, you'd rather just have that Gamma in hand because you want to get into Omega at some point. So it's like, yes, this is technically 4 parts in 1, but not only did you like to buff that artifact with your Icarus, you did get to buff it with your like Carmelia if you had her. Like, there's so many things you did get to do with that artifact that doesn't matter as much in Take-Two because you're not guaranteed all those parts in Take-Two, but in Constructed you basically are, so it feels even worse. So I think ironically in Take-Two it's like I think it's 4 out of 5 because you don't need to play artifacts for this to work. So it's maybe even a 5 out of 5 in Take-Two. But in Constructed, I think she's like a 2 out of 5 because she doesn't advance your game plan and her effect isn't really that good. So she's not going to be played in any version of Portal. But Take-Two, great. Constructed, no, don't do it. So yeah, that is going to be the end of this, oh my god, this review. It took me a long while to get through all this, but yeah, I'll make a playlist down below if you guys want to watch all of my analysis over it. Then hopefully it being piecemeal is more easily digestible than like 1 2-hour video. So hope you guys enjoy. I'll probably post them all in one day, even though that's worse for the algorithm, but it's probably better to do that than leaving it for later. So yeah, see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.